Because I want to start today with a question that might feel a little uncomfortable. If I stripped away your job title, your salary, and your LinkedIn profile, who are you? See, I'm going to say that again. If I stripped away your job title, your salary, and your LinkedIn profile, who are you? If your brain just went blank, or if you felt a spike of anxiety at the thought, stay with me here. Because most of us have been taught that hustle is a personality trait. But if work is the only thing holding your identity together, then that's not ambition. My friends, that's a house of cards. And before we dive in, I just want to set the record straight that this isn't a quiet quitting manifesto. I'm not telling you to go live in a cabin in the woods, though some days that does sound nice, right? But I'm not telling you that. But this is about sustainability. And it's about making sure that when you close your laptop at 5 p.m. or 8 p.m., that there's still a human being left inside. You know, we're talking about protecting your sense of self in a world that wants to turn you into a 24/7 productivity machine. Now, you may be asking, how did we get here? Right? Why do we let work become our entire identity? And I think it boils down to three things. The first one is the validation high, right? Work gives us immediate feedback, promotions, good job emails, you're doing a great job, a paycheck. That's what work gives us. Life outside of work, like hobbies or relationships, you know, you don't always get a gold star for doing those things or being in relationships, right? So that's one of the reasons why we give work so much focus. The second thing is that the busy badge of honor that we've turned, I'm so busy. I mean, you know those people, they're always busy. I'm so busy is a status symbol. And if we aren't working, sometimes we feel like we're falling behind. And the third reason is the fear of the vacuum. That if we stop working and we're forced to sit with ourselves, for a lot of us, that's the scary part. And here is what people don't tell you, that when your identity is 100% tied to your job, you aren't just an employee. Listen closely when I say this. You're a hostage. If your identity is 100% tied into your job, you're not an employee, you're a hostage. Think about it. If you had a bad day at the office, then you have a bad life. If you get a negative performance review, it feels like a personal, soul-crushing rejection. And if you get laid off, you don't just lose a paycheck. You lose yourself. That's what happens when you tie your entire identity, 100% of your identity, into your work. Now you may be thinking, oh no, do I do that? Do you? But we're not going to talk. Let's talk about how do we fix it? Because there are many of us that our entire identity is about our work. But how do we fix that? We don't do it by working less. So I'm not saying work less. We do it by living more outside the lines. And I'm going to give you 3 examples that you can start this week. The first example that we can do to fix that identity crisis at work is the no ROI hobby. So the no ROI hobby. No return on investment hobby. And what that is that find something that you are bad at or something that makes zero money. Painting, gardening, playing video games, learning to knit. Do something where the goal isn't growth. The goal is just joy. Because we need to remind our brains that we have value even when we aren't being productive. Now that's a big one when it comes to hobbies, finding a hobby. Because I have done making bracelets, making beads, making t-shirts with a press machine, making notebooks, all in the back of my mind with, I can turn this into a side hustle. I wasn't doing it for joy. So when you're finding a hobby, and I'm still trying to find a hobby that just brings joy. I'm still in that. When you're trying to find a hobby, you want it to bring joy, not, oh, I can turn this into. The second thing that we can do is digital borders, which is set a hard stop. Not a maybe time, but a hard stop. That when the clock hits 6 p.m., the laptop doesn't just close, it goes in the drawer. That you have to physically signal to your brain that the worker is off duty and the human is home. So you set a digital border by doing that. A hard stop. I'm done for the afternoon or evening. My laptop's put away and the worker is off duty and the human is home. And sometimes, a lot of times, that's hard to do. It's hard to do for me. These are things that I also am working on. What I'm sharing today are things that I'm working on as well. The third thing is to diversify your social circle. If all your friends are co-workers, if all your friends, all these wonderful people in your life are your co-workers, you're trapped in an echo chamber. You want to seek out people who don't care what you do for a living. Be the person who's known for their sourdough bread or their weirdly specific knowledge of 80s movies, not their ability to manage a spreadsheet. So you want to diversify your social circle. And that too is easier said than done. Those are 3 things that you can do to take your identity from just your work, your job title, to just something else. The no ROI hobby, the digital border, and diversify your social circle. But I want to leave you with this, that your job is what you do. It's a transaction. You give them your talent, they give you a paycheck. It's an exchange of value. It's not an exchange of your soul. So go and do great work. I'm saying that. Be ambitious. I'm saying that. Lead your team. I'm also saying that. But when the day is done, come back to the person who exists underneath the job title. Because that person is much more interesting than a LinkedIn headline. If this resonated with you, hit the like button so more people trapped in the hustle can find this. And I'll see you on the next video.